This program was first broadcast on Canterbury's access media station, Plains FM, and was made with the assistance of New Zealand On Air.
Kia ora, it's me, Kate. I'm back after having my tamariki. I've got my little pēpi with me here today, so hopefully all goes well. We've got Juliet with us here today, and we're going to be talking all about strengths-based parenting, what it is, how it works, and the benefits for our kids and our parenting.
Thanks for joining us for Being Real Parents with me, Anna, and my colleague and buddy,
Kate. We work in the parenting space.
And it's here where we'll talk about our worlds as parents, the good, the not so good, and the hilarious, and mix this with what we know about behaviour and psychology.
Hey Juliet, how you going?
I'm good, and welcome back.
Thank you. It's it feels a little bit strange to be in here. As I said before, hopefully I'm going to be able to find my words throughout this. And I do have my pēpi Asher here with me, so it's going to be parenting live today.
Yes, live parenting, currently asleep, all going well so far.
Yeah, currently asleep. He got the memo.
Yes.
Let's hope he keeps the memo. So today talking all about strengths-based parenting.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. So what it is, how it works, maybe some of our own experiences.
Yes, trying to stay in the frame of strengths-based parenting because I lose it sometimes.
Yeah. I hear you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that switch, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, what's your understanding of what strengths-based parenting is?
I think it is thinking about the positives in your young person in front of you. That doesn't mean that you're always positive and you're always happy and everything's go perfectly. It's just about where you choose to put your attention and your focus.
Yeah.
And then the aim with that being more calmer parenting and a more calmer child and a more holistic well-being for them as well.
Yeah, I like that, for sure. Because there's still going to be those tricky times or those behaviours that we don't want to see or those things that are niggly.
Yeah, and the place we're in for ourselves at the moment where it's really hard to find that positive strengths mindset.
Yeah.
Because we're tired or work's got something going on or, someone's unwell. There's always things going on.
Yeah.
And so we need to consciously think about trying to come back to the strengths.
Yeah,
focus.
nice. Yeah, that positive stuff, hey?
Yeah.
We talk about that a lot at Real Parents, don't we? That positive stuff and keeping our parenting as much as possible in that space.
Yeah. And I think even if we don't give it the term positive or strengths, that's what we're doing in the background. I don't think I don't always label it.
No,
but
for sure.
That is the background of most of the strategies.
Yeah, nice.
Because in essence, the punishment negative framework isn't going to have the same longer term outcomes.
Yeah, for sure. And so within that, we're looking at our children's strengths as well as our own strengths as well, and how we build on these and how they can be useful for us as well.
Yeah. What do you think your strengths are in parenting?
Oh, there's a question. I think something that's really important to me is acknowledging emotion. So I guess because of my background and my training, I've done a lot of research around how important that is. And so I think that it, without sounding like I've got a huge head, I think it's something that does kind of come naturally to me. And I don't know if that's because I have done a lot of work around that and so it's important to me, or it just kind of is something that naturally happens. So really acknowledging and validating my child's emotions.
Love it.
Which is hard to do sometimes.
Because you have your own emotions too.
Yeah, of course. But I think being there in the moment is one of my strengths. Yeah. What about you?
Excellent. Well, I'd like to think I do that as well. Yes. One of the other things is I like to observe and reflect.
Nice.
And so not always just jumping in to a kid's interaction, kind of just keeping an eye on it. And then over time, just looking back at strategies I've been trying. Are they working? Are they not? Is something changing for the child? Or rather than like what you're saying about feelings, not just seeing the negative thing they're bringing, but going, I wonder where that comes from.
Yeah.
I wonder what's going on for them, because that's not how they normally are.
Yeah. Nice.
And so my eldest is 10 at the moment.
Yeah.
And I think she's heading into sort of a puberty kind of phase, because definitely noticing a big fluctuation in emotions around, maybe we might call them small things.
Yeah.
And just kind of giving her a bit of space rather than going, what's wrong with you? Get over it.
Yeah, nice. Wow, that's a huge strength to have. That's really cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, yeah, and hard to sometimes be able to hold on to those strengths, eh? Yeah, and build on them. And I think sometimes it's tricky to also spot sometimes the strengths in our children as well, and like focus on them, because we are so, as humans, we're so trained to look at the negative, hey?
Yes, and making sure the strengths that we're seeing is not that you're beautiful, that you look beautiful, but who you are as a person and what they're bringing, the attributes of who they are and the skills that they have.
Yeah, nice. Those specific strengths, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. You're listening to Being Real Parents with Kate and Anna on Plains FM 96.9. One of the things we often talk about at Real Parents is when we're talking about strengths is looking at the VIA strengths. So that's the website. We can check that out and take a little quiz and figure out what our strengths are. And I think, if we're going to be trying to focus on strengths-based parenting, really useful for us to know what our own strengths are. And so that's one way that we can figure that out, is potentially by taking that quiz and seeing what they are for us.
Yeah, and there's so many options on there of things that I kind of hadn't considered, like curiosity.
Yeah, yep.
And prudence.
Yeah, yeah.
It also increases your language around what you could, and also for your children, because I think it's from 8 years and up, they can fill it in themselves as well.
Yeah, so useful to use with them too. And even just looking at that list, because obviously once you take the quiz, it kind of fires through your top ones, but gives you the whole list, hey? So it's useful to look at those strengths and be like, oh, actually, my child's really good at that. Or, maybe things that you haven't considered, like you're saying, like curiosity, and how that can be useful in tricky times.
Yes.
Oh, Asher looks like he's joining us.
He's noticing his strength.
Hi, Asher.
Just waking up. Hey, Asher. Welcome. I was thinking one of the other things is it's okay to not have a strength for an area that, is not the part that is as easy for you.
Yeah.
And just know what that is, and know that that's not where your focus goes. You use your other strengths when you need them, and same for your children.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, nice. I like that. It's amplifying those ones that we need in those moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I guess that's the first kind of thing, hey, is figuring out what our strengths are, what our tamariki strengths are, and how we can build on those.
Yeah. And then I guess we can think about some of the strategies that we can bring into our parenting, which is using the strengths-based perspective.
Yep.
So one of them can be using praise.
Yeah, nice.
So focusing on what we want to see from our children.
Yep.
So this morning I said to my son, I really like how you got yourself dressed nice and quickly this morning. That was really good, excellent work.
Yeah.
Rather than focusing on the time later when you said to take about 15 minutes to put his socks on.
Yeah. And that's really hard to do some mornings, hey, when we're maybe running late ourselves, or we're feeling frustrated ourselves and we're not in that kind of moment of to be able to find the positive instead of focusing on the things they're not doing so well is tricky.
Yeah, because if we are mostly giving negative comments or command comments, then that's where their brain is going to be sitting.
Yeah.
Whereas if they're hearing more of the positives, and we can always find a positive somewhere.
Yeah.
To make my husband give 3 positive comments before he complained about his day. Yeah. And he used to be like, my lunch was quite nice.
Yeah. Nice. I know. I worked with a parent once who used to have pegs on their top. They had 5 pegs, and they had to get rid of the pegs by lunchtime. And so each time they said something like a positive praise comment, they could take the peg off, just as a visual reminder of how many sometimes you have to kind of search for them.
That's a really good idea, because as a busy parent, it would be hard to remember everything that's happened.
For sure.
The details.
Yeah. And when we're busy and in that moment, we tend to, once again, go to that negative. So, praise, awesome. And focusing on the positive. So, like you were saying around what we want to see, hey? So, like putting your feet on the floor. I think you mentioned that earlier when we were chatting.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's really important too, isn't it? That we say what we want to see, not what we don't want.
Yeah, because if we say don't stand on the chair, kind of stand on the chair is a big part of that sentence.
Yeah.
The don't part isn't important to the kids.
Yeah.
So if you're saying, put your feet on the floor, they're going to be quite clear instructions about what you want.
We want, hey? It's kind of like don't think of a pink elephant.
Yes.
All we did was think about the pink elephant.
Yes, I do that with lots of my coaching families I'm working with.
Yeah.
And then they start going, oh, okay, now I see.
Yeah, so praise, keeping up that praise, the positive opposite of the behaviour we want to see. Cool. What other kind of strategies have you got around?
Ignoring is a useful one.
Yeah.
Which, assuming no one's getting hurt and no one's in mortal danger.
Yeah.
If a behaviour is just sort of annoying and not necessary, if you just ignore it, then it's not being fed.
Yeah.
It's like the negative positive comments as well.
Yeah.
You're not feeding the behaviour, so they kind of don't have any buy-in to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And instead of kind of using a punishment kind of strategy, you can, I'm not going to let you do that. Either I'm moving away from you or I need to move you away from your sibling or whatever the context is, rather than needing to learn by punishing that behaviour.
Yeah.
They can learn by there's mum or dad or caregiver is not interested in that behaviour, so there's no payoff for me doing it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think there's definitely a space for ignoring certain behaviours, isn't there? We've just got to be aware in this day and age that we live in that we're often kind of on our phones or kind of accidentally ignoring our children, I guess. So being mindful of that too, hey, and making sure that we've got that positive time with our children to contradict that. Yeah,
because it's where you, like we're talking about, it's where you're putting your time.
Yeah.
If they're getting time with you and positive play, then again there's less payoff for the negative behaviour.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean all this makes it all go away and your children suddenly become angels.
No. If only.
Yeah. There is no wand that does that.
Yeah.
It's about the working on it consistently over time.
Yeah.
And knowing that they'll be tired, they'll be hungry, something's happened at school, that kind of sets off a behaviour.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So we're wanting to really focus on what we want to see more of.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so while I was looking through all of this strengths-based parenting content, and I know Anna, who obviously isn't here with us today, talks a lot about the Strength Switch, which is a book written by Lee Waters. So she's, an author and a psychologist, and she talks a lot about obviously focusing on strengthening the good, so focusing on what our kids are good at. And like we've already touched on, that doesn't mean that we always have to ignore or not give any attention to the things that we want to maybe change. But we do have that tendency to focus on, I've noticed that we really need to work on your patience, or we really need to work on, you not interrupting. And so instead focusing on what they do well, and strengthening and enhancing that, making it stronger, and hope that might even kind of overshine some of the other things that we don't want it to be seeing. Yeah.
And if patience is something you want them to work on, then show them the behaviour that you want them to do. Like instead of tapping me on the shoulder constantly because you want my attention, just come and touch my hand and sit there and wait, and I'll come to you as soon as I've got space.
Yeah.
Because it's like teaching them the behaviour specifically.
Yeah.
Because they're doing what's worked before.
Yeah, for sure. This got your attention last time. Yeah. And sometimes we even see children ramp up those behaviours, don't we? Because it's like, well, that worked last time. Why am I not getting your attention now?
Yeah. And then we might snap and be annoyed.
Yeah.
But in essence, they don't have another skill to replace it with.
Yeah.
So trying to show them that.
Yeah, nice. So I guess within all of this, I think it's important we kind of consider the benefit of doing this too. Like, what is this going to do for our tamariki if we're, focusing on their strengths? We're obviously going to be building their self-confidence and helping them feel seen as well and appreciated.
And I think it really helps the parent's relationship with the child be more of a positive, beneficial relationship, because they're going to more feel like they're not just being dragged down or sort of have a negative lens on them.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking one of the other strategies is about having conversations with them if they're old enough about the behaviours that you want to see and what's working for them and what's not working. And for you, like with the frustrations that you're having, that's going to get their frontal cortex working. That's going to help them with skills longer term.
Nice.
Than potentially just dampening a behaviour at the moment. And that's going to help your relationship because you're talking.
Communication, eh?
Yes.
That always helps.
Yes.
Yeah. So having that korero with our children, and they know where they stand then too, don't they?
Yes. Yeah.
And they know what is expected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without having fear-based or sort of concern about the reaction that the parent might have.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's out in the open.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, nice. I feel like we've kind of got some ways that we can do this, what it is, the benefits of why we might do it. I think also, when we acknowledge our own strengths, that can build our confidence too in our own parenting, hey?
That's a good point, because we're going to use our strengths, whether it's in parenting or work or friendships or wherever. So it's good for us to know as well.
Yeah. And we're kind of modelling those, I guess, too, aren't we?
Yeah.
Oh, hello, Asha.
Yes, Asha agrees. Very much agrees. That's good. Mum, just model them, please.
Yes. Modelling the strengths well, aren't we? Yeah, nice. And maybe being aware of what our strengths are within our parenting, and maybe the other people that are in our children's lives as well. So whether that might be another parent or grandparents, aunties and uncles, or friends, maybe what strengths they bring as well, which complements our parenting too. So that whole role was not solely on us, that we can kind of share that load, and actually maybe our auntie is better at a certain thing. We might say, actually, can you help me out here? Yeah.
Because I would say a strength I don't have is Instagram perfect lunch boxes. I don't make faces in sandwiches. I don't cut things up into tiny little pieces.
They do look so good though,
They do. I love to eat some of them, but I don't have the capacity or the creativity to make that happen.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, nice. Nice. Yeah. And acknowledging those things. Hey, it might be that actually, one particular thing really frustrates you about your child, and that crops up, and actually you really struggle with that. And if you do have another parent, there with you, it might be, saying, I need 5, or tapping out at those moments where that other person can come in, because they may be better at managing those moments. So, and that's a strength in itself, of knowing when to be like, actually, this is getting too much for me.
Yeah, to know which are the behaviours that particularly press your buttons and trigger you. And which are the ones. So I'm better at, when the children are upset or crying, I'm better at, I can sit with them. I know it's going to be okay. I know we can work through that.
Yeah.
For my husband, he struggles with that more.
Yeah.
To sit with the crying.
Yeah. It's a hard thing to do.
Yeah. I think it's by the time I got to the 3rd child, I'm like, you're going to be okay. I've seen 2 others get through it.
This is going to happen. This is going to be all right. I think you do get better with crying and that upsetness, don't you?
I think it's a logistics thing as well. When there's more than one child,
your
time is in other places.
Yeah.
So you don't have the same capacity to,
for sure,
provide everything to them to make it go away.
Yeah. So for sure, knowing what the other parent's strengths is can be really useful, and maybe the areas that they do struggle with as well. Yeah,
completely.
Really useful. And honing in on those and trying to strengthen them for ourselves as well is really cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Maybe there's a particular area that you're not as strong in, and maybe that's something you want to work on and see if you can build some strength in it.
Yeah, nice.
But it's also okay to be like, look, that's just not the area that's for me. It's like, we don't all become brain surgeons or pilots or whatever, because that's just not our area.
Yeah. I love that. I think that's really important that we acknowledge that, hey, that we can't possibly be good at everything. Like, it's just not a thing.
No. And if you do the questionnaire and you see the great number of strengths that it comes out with, that would be quite an amazing person to be.
Have all those right up the top.
Yes, proficient. In all of them.
So definitely a useful tool for people, hey, to actually go check out that Bio Strengths and,
it is. It's excellent.
And figure out what your top strengths are, and coming back to what actually is up there for you, and what actually maybe you're like, oh, maybe I need some help with other people in my life to support that in my path.
It takes a village.
For sure.
Yeah, sure, Chris. Right, the top tips for today about strength-based parenting. First, it's good just to take a breath and to consider what your words are going to be, to try and make sure. I know, Asha. And so you're coming out with the best possible language to say what you want to say. Look for the behaviour that you want and comment on that, rather than focusing on the disruptive behaviour that you'd rather wasn't happening. And something that you and I have said to each other is that your words become their inner voice. So if they're hearing a lot of negative words, then that's going to be their inner voice in their head. And the last tip is to stop and consider what your strengths are and what the strengths of your child are, and use them to dial up when you need that little bit of extra power.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope you found information useful. It's been great to be here with Juliet and little Asha, who has played ball with us, which is great. If you want more information, head to our website, realparents.org, or check us out on Facebook or Insta, Real Parents NZ. Awesome. Thanks for being with us today.
We hope you've learned that while parenting is challenging sometimes, that's totally normal. It's been fun having you with us. Keep being amazing.